All right, I'm gonna keep running with this. A lot of times, if you've ever had the chance to live completely alone, um, or spend time alone, you actually have an understanding of how energy works. So we have a lot of energy around us and in us, both that works for us and against us, and a lot of things can sometimes go haywire as a function of other things that have been haywire or maybe different times of being disrespected. So when people have different energy for us and around us in life, it affects us in profound ways, and it can actually make some of our subconscious work against us. Our subconscious is a little bit programmed by our contact with other people. So a lot of the things that people do, especially like very mean-spirited or violent things, a lot of the damage is what is the programming to our subconscious mind. And I think that actually that might be some of the detriment, like when people become adults and then they have certain experiences or they have lack of experiences, and they recognize a discrepancy between what they're experiencing in life and what other people are experiencing. Part of that is actually the programming that has happened to a person that are part of their different painful experiences, and now that program actually works against them in real time. Like an example of that is like today I was taking a shower, and I wasn't entirely conscious when I put my cell phone on a chair, and then I put my shirt on top of the cell phone as though I were hiding it. I didn't entirely do that consciously. Then I take a shower, and then I need to find my phone, and I can't find it anywhere. And when I discovered it, I had exactly placed my shirt on top of my phone as though I were hiding my shirt from myself, and I didn't do that consciously. But that actually might be just some residual energy in my mind, where some of the things that we do, that actually might be some of the mishaps that people have. Like sometimes when people have blunders or they injure themselves or they do something that would just seem really dumb, it's actually a reverberation of different programming and experiences we've had, where somehow we feel about ourselves the way other people feel. So when people disrespect us, especially publicly, anything public is ramped up, because where there's two witnesses, it's now confirmed. When people do things publicly against you, it actually makes you somehow we're influenced by people and their thoughts about us, as though we were not ourselves and didn't know all the things we're capable of or been through or feel or have achieved. To where when a person disrespects you publicly, they are impressed themselves with how they have disrespected you. The public is impressed with how they have disrespected you. You feel and have remorse about how they disrespected you, yet in the subconscious mind, you are convinced by how they disrespected you, similar to how the other bystanders and they themselves are convinced. And a part of you now disrespects you similarly as you have been publicly disrespected. And that's an example of how sometimes your subconscious mind can work against you, and it's a part of some of the type of energy you've been around. So I right now in my life, like a lot of things had just been going like haywire. Like I had been not haywire, but just like less than opportune, like misplacing your charger exactly when you need it, or something like dropping out of your hand, or like just things going wrong, things going awry in very subtle ways in front of your face, with and without your participation, with and without your conscious mind. That's pretty, it can be challenging. Part of it is the type of disrespect we experience in society. There's a book called The Making of Manhood, and other cultures have appreciated that when someone is insulted, it does a damage to that person, and it makes that person damage themselves and others. So maybe sometimes like some people have wondered, like what on earth makes people do these things, like when people do unexpected or very mean-spirited things. It actually might be a function of how they themselves have felt things that are very mean-spirited. And something doesn't actually have to be overt or necessarily a breach of a line of etiquette, although there might be a subtle breach of etiquette in what is proper. But something of being disrespected, especially publicly, and humiliated, insulted, it actually makes us work against ourselves sometimes. So sometimes when things are going wrong for a person, they've actually been wronged before things go wrong for them. But what I was going for is that in so I'm going to different subjects, but you can appreciate a love making as a sacrifice. But in that sacrifice, life comes from that, and actually both the lovers are reborn in each other, and life goes on with each other. And I'm not sure if this made it up in the other video, but I was saying that I think that we're reborn through our contact with people that we love and are attractive to us, and that we have associated with, at least in our heart. And part of that is the rebirth. So, but also that a little bit of that is like dying, because something about you is very vulnerable around someone that you're attracted to, but also something of you dies around someone you're attracted to. That might actually be what the rebirth and the changes is, that in fact part of you had died, part of you had been heartbroken, part of you had been disappointed. Even if things go well for you with a person in a love, in a relation, in loving someone, there's still something of disappointment in loving one another, even when it works out the best. And that might be actually what the change and rebirth is from the actual disappointment. But what I meant to say is that, but somehow from that, life still goes on, and part of you, not all of you, but more so the best of you, goes on with that other person. And so in a certain way, you are both preying on one another if you're interested, and you're taking attention or time or affection from one another. You're taking, so therefore it's like a form of predation, but you're equally giving, such as the deer and the wolf, such as the lover is taking and giving. And that actually amounts to what life is. And in that, nothing is really lost. They say in love nothing is lost. But so I think in life is like that too. But this discussion is just saying why I think we need to be men, because I think that where I wanted to go is that I think that some of our actual capacity as human beings, to some of our mental giftedness, a lot of it has to do with memory. Memory actually it affects how you experience the present reality. So some people would say that animals have a different sense of time, which is why they can do things very quickly. If you imagine two birds chasing each other, or maybe a fly evading you, that quickness, the musician John Frusciante said that might actually constitute a different experience of time. But what I think is that actually might be a function of a different experience of memory, which affects your experience of time. Because all I meant to say is that how you remember things affects how you experience the present moment. Because as you experience something, it can maybe appreciated that you're remembering something, because they say a lot of reality, it actually transpires subconsciously. So before you have a conscious experience of yourself in an environment, and yourself in an environment, it has already largely occurred to you, or maybe even existed and transpired in your conscious mind, your subconscious mind. And there might actually be a lag between your subconscious mind, your will, and your reality. Sometimes, if you ever had your body flinch, your body move, and you didn't actually remember willing yourself to move, but your body moved a little bit like that, your subconscious mind may have experienced something, and your will may have engaged with your subconscious mind before your conscious mind had an ability to experience. You had the opportunity to experience either being informed by your subconscious mind, or itself informing your conscious will. All that had gone right past you in rare circumstances, such as when you flinch without having ever moved your body, similar to like when someone taps your knee, like a doctor, like a knee-jerk response. Sometimes you have a knee-jerk response without a doctor in the form of a flinch, and that might actually be the discrepancy between your subconscious mind, your will. Maybe your conscious mind is actually your memory, is what your conscious mind is. So you have your subconscious mind, your real mind, and your will, and whatever you remember, that is what you think is conscious. Um, but um, uh, um, but um, but I think that part of our actual memory might be because of violence. Because if you think of what is traumatic, so much of human experience has been traumatic, but that actually might be our strength. That actually might be what our memory's from. Because what sticks stronger in your mind than trauma? That might be part of like marking territory, or recognizing rivals and groups. That's very profound, and that actually might be where our memory comes from, and that actually might be some of our ability to reason, is our sense of time as a function of memory, and how we're able to make conscious deliberation and decisions. And so that's actually why, in a certain way, we may be more violent than other creatures, which is why we have a different sense of memory, and therefore time, and therefore reasoning, and therefore mental capacity. But also we have the ability to consciously deliberate, and that allows us to over consume, over indulge, and also consciously deliberate, such as like premeditated conscious decisions in the form of good and bad, even like conscious uh, uh, um, uh, uh, conscious assailing. And that's why that's our strength as human beings, mankind. But that's also why we must be more proper and more